There we go. Okay, so hello and welcome, everybody. This is Prosperity and Success with a very special guest today. We are having Brian Proctor, Bob Proctor's son, and that's what his book, My Father Knew the Secret, is going to be about. So we're covering this book, but also we launched today's Prosperity and Success podcast. So for all this celebration, I warmly welcome you to be here to celebrate with us and let us know when and how you're here and where from. And when you type win-win into the comment box, so you will be able to win. Oh, we have already people live. How cool. So you have the possibility to win Brian's book and also to win a Prosperity and Success membership site. So we are expanding on Prosperity and Success. Some people watching here might know us from the 1,000 plus member Facebook group. Others doesn't have been with us on YouTube. Hundreds have gone through a coaching, one or another, the different programs we run here. And new, we have Instagram, LinkedIn, and also a podcast platform that we are inaugurating today. And in order to do that, we have a very, very special guest. I'm honored to welcome to the stage Brian Proctor. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Nadine. It is great to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining. I really, really appreciate. When I first met you, and actually Cory, your wonderful wife, I met her a little before you. So that was on a 3-day paradigm shift event of Bob, your father. And he taught me all this material, the secret, and everything that made me really the person or my professional career in the last few years to where I've come. And you have been there, always supporting, kind of in like from this. We always knew you're here, and your energies were always just so kind, supporting, much more relaxed, and it's and for me, teaching and talking also a lot of feminine energy. So that is a very different vibe that we are experiencing now entering the coaching industry. And also your book is written in that way, many kind words. So maybe you want to also add a few words to your journey with Bob, your father.
Well, you know what, Nadine? It's I had a great journey with my father. He was a great father, but he was also a very, very good friend and really business partner. I worked with him for well over 30 years. And as you say, I was really kind of behind the scenes. I really took care of a lot of the marketing and doing a lot of the things behind the scenes that would get my father out into the world and really get him seen. And so it was a fun journey. I count myself blessed to have had him as a father. And as you can tell when you read the book, the book that I wrote is really all about who Bob Proctor is, who he was as a father, as a friend, and as a business partner, and really kind of a different viewpoint of who Bob Proctor was, other than just the man on the stage, and really the lessons that he taught me over my lifetime. So it was a lot of fun putting that together, and just watching over the years how his business grew and how people like yourself came into the business as a personal coach, really teaching his material. And I know that my father would be very proud of what you're doing, Nadine. I think you're carrying on his legacy in a wonderful, wonderful way. And I know he would be very, very proud of what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, that is really how I also feel. He has trained so many of us and gave us all this knowledge, and always encouraged us to present it in a way that really reflects us. So you talk about it in your book, in your way. I take it to where I take it in my coaching, and everyone else as well. So we all know that Thinking It Results, one of his programs, are taught by so many people, but also like always, whom are you attracted to? Why are people right now joining us on this podcast? So there is always a reason, and there is always this message, this tone of voice, the energies that we put out there, what really makes people connect with the way we present this material. And it's also funny, we call it the material, which is I think kind of an insider, or how do you see that?
Yeah, well, I just look at it as a better way to live. I think everything my father had taught and everything that you're now teaching, what I wrote about in the book, it comes down to this. It's just a better way to live. And when we live from a good place, we attract good things into our life. We have success not only in our business, but also with our family lives, with our relationships, with everything else around us. And it's such an important thing that I don't believe enough people give enough thought or energy to. And that's really what it's all about. I think if we can live in harmony and find a better way to live, a more prosperous way for sure, but also better with our relationships and everything else, it makes life worth living. It's a good thing. I chuckle. I think I said in the book, I feel like I live a charmed life. And that's because I live by the principles that my father had taught. And they're valuable principles. For anybody that saw the movie or read the book, The Secret, you see a lot of it there. And I think that's, I don't know. I just look at it as a magical way to live. And I think we can all live from that place if we choose to. We just need to study that way of living, to live from a good place and to attract into our life really what we want and to start working towards achieving the things that we really want to achieve in a good way.
Yes, absolutely. And I also feel that since we have set the date for this interview, the world has changed tremendously, especially for me, but also for so many others. And I think that it's in times like these that it's especially important to know how this all works, with where do my thoughts go, where do my emotions go, and how are they stirred up, and how do they affect me in my everyday life. And then when the world is seemingly, at least for me, maybe you have another perspective, right now is kind of in turmoil, that is really the go-to. And now in time, so in these times, it's really, there is this disconnect from where I feel, and it's very physical sometimes, the painful experiences, and towards where I know my mind should be. And that's really a journey. And in your book, I see there is so many, like every chapter that there has is like a toolbox, and you give all these tools. And even though there is not a chapter called like this, but what I felt, or the word I read most, was kindness. I think you represent this word, and it goes through the book. And if we could heal the world with kindness, we would be in a better place. But I'd love you to expand.
Well, you know what, Nadine, I appreciate you recognizing that. That's something my wife always says. And so it was interesting hearing you say that. Yeah, I think, let's face it, there is turmoil in the world, but there's also good in the world. And I think that what we need to do is give energy to the good. If all we do is focus on the nonsense, all the crap and the bad stuff that's happening, we're going to bring more of that into our life, because that's what we're giving energy to. And it's with awareness that we realize that we need to focus on the good things that are happening in this world, and some of the good that is around us. And the more that we can give energy to that, the better off our life is going to be, and the better influence we're going to have with everything in our world. It really comes down to that, and it is as simple as that. if I can give you a great example, I mean, this isn't perspective to what's going on in the world, but it is a great perspective as to not letting our outside circumstance control the way we are. Um, in the first chapter of the book, it was really, that was probably one of the hardest chapters I had to write. And I talked about, the last month of my father's life and really what he taught me and what he showed me. And Nadine, I can remember so clearly sitting in the hospital with him. He was in the intensive care unit, and just sitting beside his bed, just holding his hand, and he had tubes coming out everywhere. He was not doing very well. He was in a lot of pain, and they needed to get an extra IV into him. Now, you want to talk about outside circumstances. Here he was a few days from dying, and he knew he was going in a very uncomfortable place. So he could have been looking at the negative side of life, but he wasn't. He was not letting the outside circumstance dictate how he acted or treated people around him. Well, there was this one nurse that was in the room, and she was trying to get another IV into him, and she could not find a vein to get it in. And so she kept poking and poking. And you could see she was getting anxious. She was not feeling good about what she was doing to my father. And I'll never forget this. Dad looked at her and he put his hand on her hand and he said, "Don't worry, dear, you're doing a great job. You do whatever you need to do. It'll all be fine." That's how he was at his worst times. He did not let that outside circumstance dictate how he was going to treat this nurse. And, in that instant, you could see the nurse calm down. And the very next thing, she hit a vein. She found the vein because he changed her energy in that one moment. And, if we can all act that way at the worst moments in life and treat those around us with dignity, with kindness, we are going to see a lot more good in the world, and we will attract a lot more good into our lives. And I just think it's an important way to live. And I don't think we give that enough energy.
Yeah, that's very beautifully said, and I really connect to it. Also, Bob used to say, and I really had this as a mantra, it is what it is. Take the best and leave the rest. And so, yeah, for me in this difficult time, it was also to just become silent again, to find my voice again. So sometimes it just, instead of saying things, trying to make things, or thinking that, hey, now I have all this knowledge, now I need to explain and say. So it was just also to say, okay, now let's recalculate, how do I feel? How in this new situation, how do I get back on track, back to prosperity, back on thinking the prosperous way? And it's very healing to be on this to relax, to see where is the kindness and how to get back to it. And what you have a chapter on this, you said, let.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was a thing that my father really taught my wife, Cory. And she would get anxious about certain things, and he was always telling her, you just need to let it go, let things be, let it, get into a relaxed state. When we get anxious around things, or we want something to happen, or something's not happening the way we want it to happen, and we get all tense and everything else, we actually put up blocks from attracting the good into our life. And when you can just let it be, just be at peace with where things are at and know the good is coming, it's incredible how those blocks basically come tumbling down and the good does come back into your life. And it's an important way to live. It's a way to live without anxiety, and to really attract into your life what it is you want. What are you giving energy to? And when you can let, it allows you to focus on the good rather than the nonsense or the negative. And when we can focus more on the good, we will see more good and we will attract more good. When we're focused on the negative, that's all we're going to see. So we really do see in our world around us, whatever we're giving energy to. So, be careful of where you're putting the energy.
Absolutely. And before I continue, whoever wants to win Brian's book, My Father Knew the Secret, so you can write in the comments win-win, because you can either win his book or the Prosperity and Success membership site, and you win anyway just by listening to this and connecting to this wonderful material. So the code is here, win-win. Yeah, and so I think the letting thing, for me, that was a whole journey myself, because first I was very much in male energy, do it, and run for success, and what are the numbers? And at the beginning also I felt that those were Bob's energy, and I connected very much with this, like this, go for your goal, and then many other coaches around, we were talking about just let go, the female energies, and just let things happen and just let go. And I was like, no, I have to make it happen. In my mind, I had to make it happen. I thought I had to make it happen. And so it was really also a journey to surrender, to really connect to these more feminine energies, which male and female people have both energies, just for everyone listening. And so this is a journey itself as well, and to find the right balance between when is it that I create and when is it that my job is just to let. And maybe I don't have to do anything right now, just to see where this goes and to see where I can tune in and want to tune in again to reach my goals. And so you also talk in another chapter about listening to your inner voice.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that, we'll have to become still. And with all this noise outside or around us, pretty much a challenge. So please.
Something that my father has always taught me, even when I was a young boy, he said never to try to force anything to happen. He says, when he said, force negates. When you push, and things go away from you. When you when you're at peace with it, and you know it's coming your way, you bring it into you. And it's really, it's that simple. And, when I talk about the intuitive voice, Nadine, I will tell you that was probably one of the last lessons my father truly taught me. He said to me at the end of his life, he said to me, Brian, when I'm gone, you keep talking to me every day, and you just listen to that inner voice and follow it. It's your intuition. Let it guide you. And that is something I've always done all my life, but now I'm doing it with real purpose. And I can promise you, it has never led me wrong. If we follow our intuition and we just be at peace and allow whatever that is to guide us, we will move through this world in a calm, relaxed way, and we'll do right because we're following our intuition, our gut instinct, whatever, the hunch, whatever that is. The key to following your intuition is to actually listen to what that voice is and then follow it. All the voices that kind of come into our head after that initial idea are usually our paradigms attacking that and telling us, oh, why would we do that? No, we shouldn't do that. We need to do this because of that. And those are our paradigms attacking. But if we listen to our intuition in peace, in a relaxed state, and actually follow it, I promise you, your life will never be the same again. You will be doing things with integrity, with purpose, and you'll be doing it right for you. And that was a really valuable lesson that I learned from him at the very end. And I've done some things that were probably not real easy, but I followed my intuition, and my intuition was telling me to do things in a certain way, and that's what I did, even if it was a little uncomfortable. And it has always worked out for me. It has always worked out for me. So it's a valuable concept.
Yeah, one of the things I always tell my coaches, that my job as a coach is like growth is always outside the comfort zone.
Right.
So growth is never comfortable. So we have to get comfortable to get uncomfortable so we can actually grow, right?
It's, you know what, and it's so true. You know, one of the biggest things that Dad has taught me forever is to have a worthy goal, to have a goal that's big, that's a goal that you don't know how you're going to achieve it, but it excites you. And when you have a goal like that, you will step out and do things that you would never normally do. And sometimes it is uncomfortable. I remember when I launched the book, I started getting on podcasts and radio shows and doing different things. And I'll be honest, Nadine, in the beginning, it was very uncomfortable for me to do that. Now it's easy. It's when you have a purpose, when you have a reason for doing something, you'll step out and do things that you would never have normally done. And that is where growth happens. And you get uncomfortable, but then you get through that, and your life will never be the same again. It actually can turn into a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And we just joked before we came on here that reading the book and implementing the principles really would save the world. So you have this big, big goal of reaching 100,000 copies sold. The book is already a bestseller. When you launched it, it became instantly a bestseller. So congratulations on that. And I encourage everyone, also those who use the win-win in the comments in order to win the book or win the Prosperity and Success membership to still check out Brian's page, because there is also a couple of bonuses, and also you write a newsletter adding information and giving like weekly ideas, but pretty similar to the Prosperity and Success. Like there is just which emails are people going to read, right? We can choose which podcasts are they going to listen, which books are they going to read. So that's how we fill our life with prosperity, success, with the secret. And that's how we really make this world a better place.
Yeah, it really is. I think if we can start focusing on the good and start studying good material, we can change our life. We can change our world. And you know, my father was such a great example of that. You know, he was 26, 27 years old when he first started to get into this material. And it changed his life because he really studied it and he took action on the principles. And because he did that, not only did he change his life, he changed the life of his family, his brother, his sister, and then us as kids. You know, our lives have been forever changed because he took action and started studying really good material. But more importantly than just the studying of it, he took action. He stepped out in the world, he bet on himself, and he made it happen. And I think if we can study good material and step out and bet on ourselves, take action to living a better life, yes, our life will improve. But I think probably one of the most fulfilling things is the life of our families will improve, and our friends and everybody around us. And that's a wonderful thing. It really is.
Absolutely. So you touch on something very dear to my heart, because as I have seen, you know, other businesses or coaches taking off like these amazing numbers, and I had always this, I don't know if I shall call it question or block, but I want to be a successful business owner, coach, etc. And at the same time, a very present mom. I have 3 kids, young kids,
Yep.
and I always had this, oh, if I would just, you know, do also this and do also that, but then also I want to be home. And then I felt I really block my success, or I'm afraid of the success, because then I will be much more out and about. And so I had these conflicting thoughts. And then universe wanted, like, this was such an amazing story, that Marissa came to Zurich, and somehow I just gathered the last ticket to her show, and also somehow it was with finger food, etc. So she was there in the audience, and somehow she just stood next to me when she said, "Is there anyone from Zurich?" And I said, "Yes, I'm from Zurich." And she said, "Oh, what should I see here in the city tomorrow in the morning? I have 2-3 hours. And then I started to explain, and then, oh, you go here, and it was a mess. And I said, you know what? Would you like me to take you on a tour? She was like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. I was like, really? So we had a very good, amazing hour of conversation. And she said, look, Nadine, this is the time to write your books, to create your content and everything. Her career took off when she was 60 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Bob's career took off when he was 72 plus or something. You wrote that in the book too. And that was like, oh, I'm really young. I have all this time. And so I really love that, how you describe how he was ready to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of things there. One of the things that he always said, he says, when you're at work, and do what you need to do to get through it and to make a difference. When you're at home, when you're with the kids, be at home, be with the kids, be present. He says, just those two little things alone can change your life. And my father always lived that way. I knew when he was at work and he was doing his thing. But when he was home, even when I was a young boy, he was always, we'd be in the backyard playing catch, whatever it was. He was always present. And I really admired that. And so, he was able to be a great father, but also a great business person, because he focused on what he needed to focus when he was doing what he was wanting. There's so many people that are at work and all they're thinking was, God, I wish I was at home. And so they're not being very effective at work. Then they're at home and they're with their kids and they're thinking, oh, I really need to be back at work because I didn't do this or I didn't do that. So they're not present in either situation. And you're never going to be effective when you live that way. So that's really a big thing. The other piece that, you mentioned, which I really admire, my father was always doing what was required. He was always out working, doing the best he could. He was really a pioneer in the personal development industry. And I can remember the early days, what he was doing, and his commitment to it taught me a lot just by watching him. And, like you say, he didn't really become a household name until he was 72 years old. That's when the movie The Secret was released. And he was out doing the work long before that happened. And he was committed to the work. And he knew in his heart that if he always did the right thing and he did what was required, that break was going to happen. He didn't know when, but he knew it was going to happen. The movie The Secret came out, that changed everything. And that got him on Larry King Live, Ellen DeGeneres, and it opened him up to a whole new world. And it's really because he did the work beforehand. He was committed to what he was doing, and he was committed to being the best at what he did. And that made all the difference in the world, Nadine.
Absolutely. And what I also love is you write in a chapter about the serenity part that he was always reading out.
Yeah, it's just such a wonderful message. That chapter was written, oh my gosh, it's from a book that was printed over 100 years ago. But the message in it is so good that if we can live from a place of calmness, a place of ease, we can, not only will we see more opportunities around us, but we'll attract more opportunities around us. When you're out in the world, think about this. When you see somebody who's agitated and is all over the place, it's like, whew, you almost back away from that person. You see somebody who's calm and confident and is just with the flow and doing things in a really good way, you're attracted to that person. You want to do business with them. And, Dad was always of the opinion, we don't need to speed up. We need to calm down. And if we can work with a calmness of being, we will accomplish so much more. And quite frankly, we accomplish it with ease because we're in a peaceful state. What a great place to be. It's just a good way to be.
Absolutely. And what I also love that you touch on is on the sense of humor, on the laughter that he, Bob, brought to the world, and that we're all called to bring into our lives, into the world, into relationship, into work.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's important. I think, we need to have fun with what we're doing. We need to always look for the good around us, and enjoy and have fun, have some laughter. And, it's those are the moments that are worth living. That's what makes life a little more fun. It's just a way of being. When I wrote the book, I really decided that I was going to write it in a conversational tone because I think it's easier to read. And I had a lot of fun with it because, when I started writing it, my father was alive and he knew I was writing the book. I didn't know what I was going to call it at that time, but I knew it was all the lessons and everything I learned from him growing up. And the two of us, honestly, Nadine, we had so much fun. We're both morning people. It wouldn't be uncommon for the two of us to be on the phone at 5 a.m. in the morning. And I was telling him about what I was writing, and he would say, "Oh, Brian, here, you can add this and add that," and he would relive a story from when I was young, and oh, that'd be perfect. And we just had so much fun with it. And he lived with joy like that, even right at the end of his life. And what a great way to be. And so that was a big part of why I wrote this book. I knew in my heart that if somebody would pick this up and read it, they could live a better life right here, right now. The book, I've often said, is not about me. It's really about who my father was and what he taught me as his son. So the lessons in there are valuable. I mean, I was his son. All he would want is the best for me. And so I wrote that. And those are the messages. Those are the stories that I wrote into it. And I wrote it in a way that you can take those messages and apply them to your life easily and right away. So
I think that's really felt how much fun you two had together when writing this and creating this. And here I encourage our listeners again, if you want to win the book or win the Prosperity and Success membership, so write in the comments win-win so that you can win a book. But either way, you can also go to brianproctor.com and get also his additional material. What I also love is how you talk about talking good behind the back of people. And so I want to also encourage the listeners to talk, if you have read it, then, and I do encourage you to read it, then to talk good about Brian in the Amazon, to give some reviews, because it really helps him. So we leave him with the impression of increase.
Thank you,
and
that does help.
Yeah, so please also the impression of increase and talking good behind the back of people, such a wonderful way to live.
Yeah, well, do you want me to share that story, the impression of increase?
Yes, sure.
This was, for everybody that's listening or watching, this is a lesson that I learned from my father when I was 9 years old. And I'm in my 60s. So I've been using this for a long time. And I promise you, this has changed my life. We had just moved to Chicago. I was born in Toronto. So, I started school in Toronto. We then moved to London, England. I started a new school there. We moved back to Toronto in a different area of the city. So I started another school there. Then by grade 4, we moved to Chicago. So by the 4th grade, this was already my 4th different school. I was that perpetual new kid in school. And I can remember sitting with Dad in the den of this house. And I said to him, I said, "Dad, I'm really nervous about going back to school. And I'm this new kid again. I hate being the new kid. Everybody looks at you weird." And he taught me something that changed my life. He said to me, he says, "Brian, everybody you speak to, put these 4 letters across their head, MMFI. That stands for make me feel important." He said, if you can make everybody you speak with feel important, feel seen, feel heard, you're going to get along in the world in a great way. You'll make friends easily and all will be good. He says, if you can take the focus off of you and put it on the other person and be sincerely interested in them, you're going to do great. And he called this the impression of increase. And the impression of increase is really this. Can you leave everybody you come in contact with today feeling better because they were in contact with you that day. If you can do that, you are going to just, I made friends super easily. I was one of those kids that could make friends with any group in school because of that. Later years, when I got into business, I was a real estate salesperson for quite a few years in the city of Toronto. I had so many clients because everybody was referring their friends and family to me because I treated them so well and I let them be seen. You know, when somebody tells you a story, I could have said, oh, I did that too, and I did it this way. I never did. I just relished in their story. I let them speak and be heard. And when you don't try to one up somebody, you let them shine in their moment. You don't take it away. And it's simple little things like that that can really make a difference in the world. And, you know, like I said, my father called that the impression of increase. And I have lived that way ever since I was 9 years old. And it has served me very, very well. You know, I think we all want to be seen and heard. And I think if we can do that with everybody that we come in contact with, it's going to work out well for us. It really will.
Absolutely. And that's just such a beautiful story and for me it wasn't natural. I really had to learn this when I read the book The Science of Getting Rich. There was the impression of increase. It was for me like studying this concept. I was like, so it's not about me being me, my character, but it's me thinking how to be a better person with everyone. And I was like, it was really new to me. And now looking back, I'm actually surprised how that was so new to me. It should be very natural. It should be something that people are taught in school or at home, but okay, not everyone is. And for me, it was really a breakthrough to also, I have been wearing this forward going energies to just take a step back. Mm-hmm. And as you say, make me feel important, make you feel mm-hmm. to understand what makes them feel important and to tune into that. And so I really had to decrease my whole speed of thinking, of talking, of acting, which helped me a lot to integrate this. And once it's integrated, it becomes more natural, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. But it served me so well as well. And many things that I have achieved, I'm like, how did you do it? Oh, I just left them with an impression of increase, and then things come back just so natural, or with the law of attraction, or
Well, you know, I think a really easy way to look at this is to picture yourself. We've all been to a party. Picture yourself at a party, and you walk up to somebody, and they're that person that is just spilling on you everything they've done, how great they are. You know, just it's all about me, 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 me. It's like, man, all you want to do is get away from that person. You walk into somebody else and they ask you meaningful questions, and they're actually interested in you, and they're not trying to outdo you. They're actually interested in who you are and what you do. You just want to be around that person. That's what it's all about. So if we can act in that way, people will want to do business with us. They'll want to be around us. And it makes a very, very large difference.
Absolutely. How wonderfully said. Brian, what is, in one sentence, prosperity and success for you?
In one sentence, prosperity and success to me is being the best version of me every single day. That's it. I think if we can live our life by being the best version of us every single day, our life is going to drastically improve. It really will. You know, Nadine, I look at, you know, tomorrow I might not be as good as I was today, but if I'm focused on being the best version of me every single day, I'm going to accomplish more. I'm going to be a better person, and I will have more influence on everything around me. So to me, that is it. Just be the best version of you every single day.
Oh, that's really wonderful. Yeah. So how are we going to leave our listeners with an impression of increase? Would you like to share with us, if people go to your website and also when they order the book, what are the additional things that they're going to get?
Sure. Yeah. If you go to the website, brianproctor.com, it gives you lots of different options on where you can order the book, depending on whatever country you're in. There are some bonuses. You'll get some of the PDFs of a couple of the first chapters before the book even arrives. I did a question and answer call with a lot of people that bought the book. You'll get a recording of that. So it really digs into a lot of the material that's in the book. There's a number of bonuses. There's a workbook that you can use to follow along with the book to really help implement what you're reading into your life. So I've really set it up for some valuable content that will help you live a better life. And I hope you'll go and get the book. I don't know what the book price will be in the country you're in, but it's priced reasonably. And I have put everything in there that you need to live a better life. I did it with the intent of, as you mentioned, I have a goal of getting 100,000 books out in the world because I know it will make a difference. And I know once I hit that 100,000, it's just going to keep on going from that point on. That's I consider that the flashpoint, whether it is or isn't. It doesn't really matter, I guess. But I just know that you'll get value, and you can leave comments there. I appreciate the feedback. Once you get the book, if you do like it, boy, I'd love to see a review. The reviews help, and I appreciate it. And Nadine, I want to thank you for having me on. You are really one of the top consultants of my father's material. And I love what you're doing. I love how you are carrying on my father's legacy and teaching what he taught. And I know you're making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So, I appreciate you for what you're doing. And I think you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind words. And I really also want to leave our listeners with the impression of increase when they write win-win into the comments, so you can win the book. We are going to do this the Swiss way, where if I do a draw, an outside person has to look at it. So we will notify the winners in the week to come. Also, for those who watch the replay, you can still do a right win-win, and in the first week of December we will let people know. So also you can win a Prosperity and Success membership, which is relaunching all my programs together. Depends on where you want to be. If you want to do Thinking into Results or the Money Intelligence Masterclass, or the Business Chakra calibration course that is coming up next year. So we warmly invite you to come and check it out once it will be live at January 1st, 2024, as we plan it. So I saw in the recent months, not always everything goes as to plan, but as long as we are the best version of ourselves, as you said, we will leave the world with the impression of increase, and that's what we're here to do. So I really want to thank you, Brian, for being on, and I want to encourage everyone to get the book, read it, enjoy it, implement it, and thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Nadine.
Prosperity and success is for those who make this world a better place, for those who use their voice, ideas, and actions to inspire, create, and uplift, for those who know what love is and who share it with the world. While others are caught in games of guilt, shame, and competition, you shine a light to show the way. We are still few but strong in our beliefs, and more join us day by day. We know there is a better way. We tune in into the higher frequencies. We hold up the energies. We calibrate, heal, align, and energize, because we know prosperity, success, and love are infinitely available for all. We speak from love, grow with passion, and won't stop until everyone who wants can have a life of love, freedom, and prosperity. With love and gratitude, my name is Nadine Bdil. Join us at inspireworks.ch. May prosperity and success
be with you. Thank you, everybody, and see you soon.